What's up? It's your boy Vibes by Bray because I'm always bringing you the good vibes, and you're tuned in to and 5678 the podcast where we discuss everything dance industry related beyond the steps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. 7, 8.
You're tuned into in 5678 the podcast with Vibes by Bray, only on YouTube, broadcasted by Riverside.fm.
On today's episode, we have dancer, choreographer, and director DaeSun Cupid. Y'all give it up.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. Well, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to sit and talk with me today. I definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you being interested in my story.
No problem. So, first and foremost, can you just introduce yourself to our viewers?
I am DaeSun Cupid. I was living in Atlanta in the dance industry for about 6 or 7 years, and I recently made the move to LA to transition to a different market. But yeah, I'm just a passionate artist.
Okay. How long have you been in LA?
I've been in LA since January of this year, officially.
Okay. So you just got there.
Yeah, for sure,
And
for sure. Not even a year.
Okay. Born and raised in Atlanta, you said?
I'm from Augusta, Georgia, which is 2 hours from Atlanta. But once I graduated high school, I moved to Atlanta and wanted to pursue some entertainment industry dance. So that's where I got started.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about your dance background? What got you interested in dance?
So I actually had a kind of a conflicting start with the dance. My childhood best friend grew up in a ballet studio, but he was bullied a lot at the time for doing ballet because kids are mean sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
And so that steered me away from dance in the beginning. It was something that I always loved, but I didn't take it seriously when I saw what was happening to him. And then I ended up auditioning for a performing arts school in my hometown. I originally was going for film. And during the audition process, they have you do dance, you do art, you do visual art, you do singing, you do a bunch of different fine art. And they kind of assess your talents at the time and your potential. And I was recommended for dance when I auditioned, but at the time I was still really hesitant and apprehensive about taking it seriously. So I went to the school for about 2 years, and then I ended up going to one of the dance shows, and I ended up finding out that because there are no sports at the school, if you were a guy and you were a dancer, you were like the top of the social hierarchy, so to speak. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. Then I saw the type of dancing they were doing on stage, and I was like, oh, they're just doing stuff that I see on YouTube. This might be kind of cool. So at the time, I want to say that show was only a couple months into the school year, and I wasn't enrolled in a dance class. So I ended up finding out that the men's dance class was during my lunch period. So for the rest of the school year, I would skip lunch and I would go take that dance class instead.
Oh, wow.
And then the next year, I officially enrolled, and that's how I got started.
Okay, awesome. So what did that do for you, like as far as like the dance industry, the commercial dance industry? How did you transition from doing that in school to pursuing it full time?
So my mentor at the time, he was a professional Bethie Award-winning company dancer. So she was a part of the Garth Fagan Company in Rochester, New York. And every year she gets to send 1 or 2 students of hers up there to do an intensive with them. And so I was chosen my junior year of high school. So I went up there, I did their intensive, I believe it was a little over a month. That was probably the hardest dance experience I've ever had. It it was definitely it definitely had the potential to break me and my love for dance. It was that intense for me. Um, but on the conclusion of the intensive, they offered me a job opportunity to
Okay.
come dance with the company once I graduated school. Um, and so I took that back with me to Augusta, and I kind of mulled it over for another year. My childhood best friend as well, his uncle was a very successful, is a very successful professional dancer in the industry. And so I kind of started asking him more questions about what happens and how to go about even stepping foot into the industry. Um, so thanks to his guidance, I had a little more of a blueprint into how to get into it. And then also during my senior year, there were a couple agency auditions in Atlanta. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll fill this out. I'll go to the auditions and just see what this is about. So I had my grandfather drive me up. I think I missed school one day. I can't remember. I think it was in the middle of a weekday or something like that. But he
Yeah.
drove me down to Atlanta. I went to the audition. Had no business being in the audition, but it was such a great learning experience for me as to how things will run because I really was so far removed from it in the city that I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I went through all of that and then I applied to a college in Rochester and I applied to a college in Atlanta. I applied to Georgia State. And I really flipped a coin and based off of which one, whether I got accepted or which one accepted me first,
Mm-hmm.
that was where I was going to pursue dance. So if I got it in Rochester, I was going to dance with the company. And if Georgia State accepted me first, then I was going to go to Atlanta, start over not knowing anybody, and try to make a career in the industry. And they accepted me first. So
Okay.
I ended up committing to the move to Atlanta. Um, I knew I want to say one person. I knew one person who was teaching in Atlanta at the time. And so I went and started taking his classes as soon as I moved. And the rest is history, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you say that you had no business being in an audition, do you mean that you don't feel like you personally were ready to be in that room at that moment?
You know, it's an interesting perspective because I could say that, and then I also accept I wouldn't be who I am today if I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't done it.
Exactly.
But I would say that uh, I would say maybe I made the people running the audition, I made their job a little harder because I genuinely had no idea what was going on.
But that's real that you can recognize that and then look back at it and then laugh at it. But again, just like you said, it contributed to who you are as a dancer today.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Very thankful for that experience.
Yeah. So, how would you say that once you realized that you wanted to dance, how would you say your support system was?
My support system was great. My mom was actually, she is actually an extremely talented artist. She can sing, she can do visual art. She was an amazing dancer, all the above. But she actually dropped her goals to raise me.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was extremely supportive when she found out I wanted to dance. My family was also always supportive. They would come to my shows. They were just constantly doing whatever they could to help promote my career in dance. But my dad's side was more business oriented. And so they
Mm-hmm.
were like, all right, cool, you want to dance too, but also what are we doing about college? Like what's your plan B? What you falling back on? What's your security? Da 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 da. So I ended up, that was the reason I ended up going to Georgia State at all. Honestly, I ended up attending was because at the time, my father offered to support my dance training if I would still stay in college. And that went, that went decently for a little while, but I don't think at the time he understood how committed I was to dance. like that I was trying to take like 3 classes a night. So
Right.
so I didn't think he understood how big of a responsibility that I was trying to now share with him
Hmm.
because he was offering to help support it. Um, so once that started to get kind of out of hand, I accepted that I was just no longer going to go to school and he wasn't going to support my dance training anymore. But I accepted that I was just going to have to figure it out and build myself from the ground up.
Mm.
But it was a process that I needed to go through in order to get to the level I feel like I needed to reach. And it was hard to explain to someone from his world that having a plan B at the time provided me too much comfort to try and be great at what I wanted to do. So
Exactly.
I needed personally that security net not to be there in order for me to grind like I had to.
Absolutely. I actually have a similar story. So I
Hmm.
actually went to Georgia State as well.
Word.
I did grad school at Georgia State. So
Uh-huh.
I had an advisor that I would go to often. He would always ask me, um, what do you want to do outside of school? And I would tell him, and he's like, Mr. Sloan, you are so talented. You
Hmm.
are a part of these dance boards. You want to dance. You're so creative. You do X, Y, Z. He
Hmm.
said, why the hell are you in school? I leaned in and I said, Dr. Bruner, I have no idea. And it was just one of those
Nah,
things that I just had my parents in my ear. I had so many people in my ear saying, you need to have a backup. You need to go
hmm.
to school. You, even though you want to pursue dance, this is what you should be doing. And I let people tell me what I should be doing versus doing what I wanted to do. And
Hmm.
he was just basically, he instilled in me that I was sitting on too much talent to be in
Hmm.
school simply because somebody was telling me to or because I liked school.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know why I was there. I got an undergrad degree and then I went to grad school. I don't know why I
Hmm.
was there. I was literally just doing it. And so once I made that decision, I started training more intentionally. I started
Hmm.
putting myself in the right rooms. I started going to classes more often and just pouring into myself and pouring into my craft more than what I could because I was so focused on school. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel you on that.
Yeah, for sure, similar story. Yeah.
So, with you transitioning from Atlanta to LA, what would you
Hmm.
say is the hardest part about that transition?
I had an extremely well-timed and blessed transition here.
Mhm.
So I so far have nothing to say about the transition being difficult.
Okay.
Personally, I know it's a lot of people's journeys and moves over here are different.
Hmm.
Um, but I was blessed to receive the most momentum I've ever had in my career at the time when I was moving to LA, completely uncorrelated. Well, the universe is aligned, so it's completely related, but it seemed very unrelated at the time. So I came here with a bigger snowball than I had when I was in Atlanta.
Yeah, okay. So that's so dope. Only because, like you said, a lot of people, have difficult transitions and they say, "Oh, LA is so hard, and this is what I went through X, Y, Z." So that's
Hmm.
definitely a true blessing that you had more so of a smoother transition, which isn't you don't hear very often, but it is
Hmm.
great to actually hear that. And not saying that that's going to be everybody's story, but
Right.
it definitely is a good one to hear. What would you say your community is like in LA?
It is very thankfully similar to the community that I had in Atlanta
Hmm.
because a lot of my community here is just branches growing from the tree of relationships that I built while I was already in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it's been a great dope people introducing you to dope people experience for me.
Okay. Okay. So, can you tell us about some of the gigs that you've worked while being a professional dancer?
Sure. My first experience felt very full circle to me because part of my curriculum when I was in high school was every February we would do a Black History show and we would do African dance for it with live drummers. And we had a West African instructor come and teach us for a couple months before the show every year. So my first opportunity for a dance job in Atlanta, major opportunity, ended up being for Coming to America. And they had an African audition at 4-1. And in I feel the more routine situation where your first audition might be kind of nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
that was a really comfortable experience for me instead, because I saw the drummers, I already knew what a break was in African music. Like I knew how to read the room, I knew what was going on. So I was able to just release and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I ended up being hired for that, and that ended up being my first major hiring as a dancer. At the same time I was working on that job, I was also doing another opportunity shortly after that ended up being the hardest dance job. I would say it's the hardest dance job I've ever done because of the mental stress that I put myself under. I was, mind you, this is my second major hire ever. And it was with 3 choreographers that I thought I was going to end up working with, praying in like 4 years' time. And I'd already ended up in a room with them. And every other dancer on this job had 10 plus years already of experience in the industry. And so I felt this mountainous amount of pressure to rise to the occasion, and not only to make myself proud, but I also those were people that I almost felt an imposter syndrome, as if I didn't belong around those people yet. So I felt like I had to make them proud for hiring me in the first place, because that was already kind of a risk, I thought, at the time. So I would like to attribute that experience to the most growth I've ever had on a dance job, because I was not sleeping at that point. I was going over routines. Like I was laying with my eyes closed, but I was going through the choreography the entire night. Like I didn't have an ounce of fun. I was so driven to do a great job and not have anything go wrong that I stressed myself out for the entire, I think it was like almost 3 weeks. And thankfully the performance went great. I kind of blacked out during the performance. I didn't really remember what happened, but I watched it back and I was like, oh, okay, cool. It went great. Nothing went wrong. But with that being the hardest booking that I've ever had, I felt like if there was any job that was going to break me or test my love for dance, it was that one, for sure. So once I'd been through that, I felt like there's nothing that's come close to that so far.
So it's a funny thing because as dancers, we always seem to like have that imposter syndrome sometimes, especially when we get in a room. I had a similar experience. I just did my first movie recently, And
Congrats. That's what's
I
up.
thank you. And I was shook, honestly, because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the room with people who I admire. Literally, like I watch
Mm-hmm.
them every day on these tours, on my TV screens, and in other movies, and I'm like, okay, so I have to make sure I'm doing my best because I need to make sure I'm keeping up with them. And I'm
Right.
just like, I never even would have imagined because a movie wasn't on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
I never said, oh, I want to do a movie. It just kind of happened. And now I'm in the
Mm-hmm.
room and I kind of had to like have those conversations with myself. Like, if you're in this space, you were meant to be.
Yeah.
So you're exactly where you should be. So don't overthink it. Don't compare yourself. Just come in and do your best and do what you got to do.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
So out of every gig that you've done, what would you say is your absolute favorite and why?
In recent memory, I would say the most fun experience I had was doing the VMAs with Shakira last year because I forgot. Oh, that's what it was. Um, I ended up basically getting to do that job with two of my closest friends. And so it ended up being an experience that we could all share where when we had time to not be working, we could
Hmm.
just be making memories with one another. And on top of that, of course, it's like a huge blessing to be able to share an accolade like that with people that you're personally close with. So I would definitely give that my favorite in recent memory.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely dope, especially when you get to experience that with someone. It kind of takes the pressure off of this is a job. You know, of course,
Yeah,
you're
for
still going to
sure.
have your professionalism and everything, but then you get to share it with somebody that you can relate to more on a personal level. And it's like, oh, this is my friend. Like, we did this together. Like, yeah, and that makes you know that you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So now we are going to get into Cupid concepts.
Okay, dope.
And so, can you tell everybody exactly what Cupid Concepts is?
Cupid Concept, in summary, is a dance-based production company.
Okay.
Cupid Concepts is something that I have been working on since I graduated high school. It's evolved through different stages, but the angle has always been the same. It's been, it initially started off serving as a creative outlet for me and all of my ideas. And it's slowly evolving into something more intentional
Hmm.
and something I believe has a lot more to offer to the dance community as a whole. I don't want to get too in depth with where I'm taking it right now,
Yeah.
but things are going extremely well with it. And I feel like it's going to be a great source of more opportunities for our community.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, and you also do a segment called A Day in the Life. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's something that I started doing because I believe that we're in a more educational uh, trend of social media right now,
Hmm.
where at least I'm on that side with my algorithm, where it's just really cool to see what it's like for someone to do something that is so far removed from your normal daily routine. And so I kind of wanted to start giving people a look at what it's like to live a day by day or a week by week in the life that I live as a content creator, a dancer, a director, a choreographer, whatever it is, just so anyone who's interested can learn more about it. They can be inspired, hopefully, and the people that don't have someone to talk to, like I had once I started my interest in getting into the industry, they have something that they can look at for some sort of blueprint, because I feel like a lot of the people that are put on pedestals as career goals to work with
Mm-hmm.
are so intangible when you're at that stage where you're beginning to have an interest in the industry, that we need some sort where we can look at uh, a more unbiased and a more raw look at what it's like to actually live in the life of somebody that's being a professional dancer, choreographer, all of those things.
Yeah, I definitely love that because it also gives people a chance to see more of who DaeSun is, you know? And just like you said, we see these celebrities or bigger dancers that's out here, and it kind of gets intimidating sometimes if we may not be on that level or feel like we're not on that level. So
Yeah,
just to allow people in that space or in your world that way allows them to see you in a different light. So that's definitely dope of you to put yourself out there and to create that space for other people as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. So now we're gonna play a little game called This or That.
Oh, snap. All right.
So with this or that, I have come up with some pairs of iconic dance visuals from movies, music videos, live
Hmm.
performances. They're completely random.
Okay.
You will choose which one you prefer over the two, and I will let you quickly explain why you chose the one that you chose if you have an explanation.
Okay, got you.
Alrighty, so first one, we have Michael Jackson Beat It versus Michael Jackson Bad.
Oh, wow. Uh, uh, I think I would choose Beat It. My heart says Beat It.
You want to explain it or you want
And
to go to?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't want to explain it. I'm
Okay,
gonna
cool,
go with
cool.
Beat It though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
So
resonate with
next,
that one a little more.
okay, we have Lady Gaga Bad Romance
Okay.
versus Christina Aguilera Dirty.
Hmm. ah, I think I gotta go Bad Romance. Bad
Okay.
Romance on that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right, next we have Usher and Beyonce Bad Girl live in Puerto Rico versus Chris Brown and Sierra Take You Down at the BET Awards.
I knew that was gonna be hard when you started with. I said, "Oh yeah, this ain't gonna be easy." Wow. I think I gotta go Chris and Sierra. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, we have two more. All right. Chicago Cell Block Tango versus Burlesque. Show me how you burlesque.
Let's go with Cell Block Tango.
Okay. I would choose
Cell
that one
Block
too,
Tango.
honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one. You ready for this one?
All right. What's
All
up?
right. DaeSun Cupid's bar song visual
Ah!
versus DaeSun Cupid's runaway baby visual.
Ah! um, I like the Runaway Baby one more. I
Yeah.
did. I did.
Okay.
I did. I did. I did. I did. I enjoyed more of I just felt like being a beekeeper was just so out of the ordinary of what somebody would have expected from a dance video that I enjoyed the creative process on that. I feel like more, which is why I would attribute that to being a favorite out of the two.
Yeah, now while we're on that, what made you come up with that for that visual?
Wow, that's a great question. Um, I run through so many ideas that I can't pinpoint the exact curation of the idea, but I know that it started off with the the feeling of the song to me, the running away part. I wanted to explore being afraid of something, and somehow I ended up landing on Beekeeper. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely came out dope. Like that was one of my favorites. That's why I had to put
Thank you.
those two because those two are literally. I literally love everything you put out, honestly.
Thank you,
But
brother.
those two, I was like, what? Like this man is insane.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
No problem. So before we move on, I do want to take a moment to shout out my sponsor. So on each and every episode, it is sponsored by K2Co Apparel. It is comfortable and affordable streetwear for dancers, and today's feature item is the 5678 sweatshirt. But here's a word from our sponsor for more information.
And 5678 podcast is sponsored by Chelsea Elise Dance Apparel. Use promo code BRAVEN for 10% off all orders over $25. Follow K2Co at Kata_Co on Instagram.
Be sure to check out their website and make sure to use my discount code BRAVEN to get 10% off your order of $25 or more. Alrighty, DaeSun. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. This is our next segment. This is where the curtains close and the spotlights come off. Let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point. Let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point.
So today I want to talk to you about dance identity and how your personal identity influences your dance style. So first, can you let us know what dance styles have shaped your personal dance identity?
The most influential style that I have was a more jazz-based improv.
Okay.
My mentor, when I was in high school that I spoke about, her husband is an amazing saxophone player. And he had a jazz band at the time. And so I built my foundation off of freestyling with them while the jazz band was freestyling off of each other. And then we evolved it into performances when her husband would come on stage and play the saxophone, and I would do a solo improvising on stage while he was just doing whatever he felt. And we would kind of feed off of each other with that energy. I feel like that allowed me to ground myself in a more story-based and emotion-based style before I necessarily got into the techniques of all the styles that there are. I started off with nothing but what I heard and had to be present in that moment because it's such an unpredictable experience when you don't have set music. Like, it's different when there's a song, even if you could hear the song once before you freestyle to it again. But what he played in the moment of those performances was something that was likely not to be repeated again. So that type of foundation in dance helped me to really dive into who I was as an artist because there's endless possibilities in the moment. You know what I mean? There's only but so many waves you can do. So I had to figure out for myself where I wanted to go with the performance as I was listening to the music. That way, now when I listen to any song, I know exactly how I feel about it. Like there's no question about how I would like to approach the song or what I see creatively, because I was used to doing that on the spot, like as the show was going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is in front of hundreds of people, and I'm not allowed to just be like, yo, can we take it back to the other part? It's like I got to
Right.
keep
You
going
just
in the
got to keep
moment.
going.
Yeah. So I feel like that is definitely what I attribute most of, honestly, my love for dance in general, but definitely most of my stylistic choices go to that jazz influence.
I feel like that route that you said that you took when it comes to the jazz influence, I feel like that builds a different type of performance.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes you tap into a different character, and I think that's what dance is all about: storytelling. And
Yeah.
if you don't have a story to tell, or if I can't feel what you're feeling, what good is the craft? It's more than about the moves. It's about what am I telling my audience, or what is my audience gaining from what I'm doing on stage?
Yeah. Completely agree. Completely agree.
How would you say that your dance identity has evolved over the years?
I would say, I wouldn't say my dance identity has even evolved that much, but my ability to execute what is in my mind or what I'm feeling has definitely evolved. And it's led me to being very intentional with how I hone my craft, what I train in, what I allow to enter my space, because there's a trade when you are learning from anyone. There is I feel like we have kind of an ego on what we allow ourselves, what we think we can allow ourselves to take in. We think we can pinpoint, oh, I'm just going to take this away from that. But there's always a little bit of bleed through of other things into that. And who I want to be as an artist is something that I am very specific about. So there are certain things that I don't allow that bleed through from. And I think I've been able to have uh, a more concise evolution as a dance artist, because I've been so specific and intentional about what I've been able to let teach me and take from around me. Um, Especially in an age when everybody's an influencer and it's everywhere. But I think, at least to a degree, we can still be very, very purposeful with what it is we're letting influence us. So, yeah, that's what I would like to say about my dance identity evolving over the years.
So I want to touch on something, because you use a word that is near and dear to my heart, especially when it comes to like life in general, and then the way that I train,
Hmm.
intention. You have to be intentional when it comes to what you're, like you said, what you're allowing to teach you, what you're allowing to
Hmm.
influence you, what you're putting out into the world, how you're presenting yourself, all of that. It literally comes hand in hand. So I am definitely glad that you use that word, only because some people don't understand what it means to
Hmm.
be intentional. So I definitely want to put that in the atmosphere so that people can take that, internalize it, and and utilize that.
For sure, I feel like intention was also a big word for me because, as we were speaking before with the jazz improv and the influence, I always had to be very intentional about why I was doing a movement based on what story I was building in that moment. So it gave me a very emotional connection to music, as I said, but it's also allowed me to be able to connect with others' choreography faster in that emotional type of way where I don't allow myself to do a movement if I don't understand where it's coming from or what I'm trying to say. That way, when I am being intentional, it's very clear to you what the story is that I'm telling you in that moment.
Yes, definitely that. So how would you say your dance identity aligns with who you are personally?
I would say it's exactly who I am. Because, still attributing to those moments on stage where I'm freestyling in the moment. I have nothing to rely on but who I am and how I would react to whatever it is that he's playing in the moment. So I was able to start very early wearing my heart on my sleeve in that way. And I think I would encourage anybody that's listening to completely just be themselves when they are dancing. And it's easy to stress about opportunities and how you're being presented and branding and all of these things. I truly believe, though, you should let all of who you are read through your art because as individual as we are, there's so many things that we have in common with others, and someone can resonate with a part of your art because you're letting your true self be seen, and they know that they contain that in themselves. So I feel like it's everything that we do in everything in life, in everyday life, that we should also find a place for it in our art. If you like to make jokes, if you're funny, okay, throw that into, like, why is that not being in your routine at a point? Why are you not
Exactly.
making something that you think is funny? Or if you're emotional, if you're sad in the moment, we all go through ups and downs. We have varying emotions. They are there as tools for us as artists to use. So if you're feeling really, really down today, why don't you just dance like you're really, really down and see what happens? Produce whatever it is because we're all having a human experience and someone can relate to that point in your journey as a human. And that's what's going to elevate you as an artist, but it's also going to build the community that wants to see what else you have to say.
Absolutely. Would you say there are any dancers or choreographers whose dance identities you admire or resonate with?
Um, the list is getting kind of long. I'll definitely start with my big bro Marv, for sure, for sure. He is an amazing dancer, but he is someone who I would say who has a great duality of ability to execute, but also has a personal identity when performing. And I think that is something that is very, very rare to find is the balance of the two. I would give it to him. I'll give it to Josh Smith, of course. I give it to
Absolutely.
Cody. Got props to everybody from Atlanta. I also, let's dig a little deeper. One of my homies, Giga, I would definitely like to give him his props. He is a great individual that I've been becoming more close with recently, and I love his dance identity. The list goes on pretty long,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would like to throw those out for sure first.
Definitely want to shout those people out. Alrighty. So, what challenges would you say that you have faced in staying true to who DaeSun is in the industry, if any?
Oh, okay. Ha! This is probably something I should have led with because I always, I'm always under the impression that people already know, but it's always a surprise for some reason. So I actually only have 3 fingers on my right hand. I was born like that.
Okay.
And this is something that was a challenge for me when I first started dancing. And it led me to uh, it led me to the goal of only being the greatest version of myself that I could be, no matter what, because I was already under the impression that I was different. And so once I accepted that I was different, I committed to the fact that I had to fully be myself, and I couldn't be anything else. Sorry, I don't want to get too far off track from the
No,
question.
you're
Could you go
okay.
back to
You're
it real
okay.
quick?
So I was saying, what challenges uh, have you faced in the industry with being
Got
your
it.
authentic self? Yeah.
So that got it. I was like, where was I? That's where I was. So that presented the fact that any audition I would walk into, well, I'll accept maybe I was wrong. But again, another assumption that I was making was when I would go into a dance audition, I thought that I almost had to trick the creative team or whoever it is, whoever's hiring. I almost felt like I had to trick them into hiring me when I first got started because I had to show them that I was so talented that they wouldn't notice what was different about my hand. That way they would already be at the predisposition to look at me like, oh, he can definitely get this job done. That way, whenever they did notice, shouldn't be an issue for whatever we were trying to complete at the time. It's been, I can't account how many times it's taken an opportunity away from me, but I can say there are moments where I was on another one of my first jobs that I was on. I was on this TV show, and the choreographer was teaching jazz, which is more about like lines and stuff like that. And I can't straighten these fingers on my hand. And she made a comment where she was like, "Oh, don't make claw hands or something like that." And it was something that I just let roll off, and I just waited on her to notice. And I saw her glance over a few times, and she started to pick up on what my particular situation was. And it wasn't something that we necessarily talked about again, but I feel like I internalized the conflict a lot more than it necessarily is an actual obstacle for me. It's moments like that, or like when I was dancing with Shakira last year, and they were like, "Okay, cool, we need you to throw up a peace sign next to Shakira." It's moments like that when I prepare myself internally to be let go from the opportunity, because in my head, I am only in the room because I've done such a great job at hiding what was different about me. And that's why I was there. So whenever it is something that comes to the forefront, it was always something that I was prepared to be that barrier between me and an opportunity. So those are kind of the challenges that I dealt with personally.
So would you say nowadays you don't think like that anymore? Like you use that as like have stepped into that, like this is what makes me different and I'm gonna stand on that, or does it still kind of bother you sometimes?
Um, I would say I think like that sometimes. Definitely a lot less recently, probably since I moved out here. It's definitely been a lot less. But I'll also say with that transition, I actually met someone the first month or so I was here. One of my homies, Sherrod, introduced me to this guy. We just ran into him. We went out. We ran into him, and he shook my hand, and he was like, he could tell that something was different. Usually people can when they shake my hand first. He could tell something was different, and he was like, "Hey, not to be weird or anything like that, but I'm a writer on this TV show, and we've been looking for someone to come in and consult on the season of the show that we're doing, because we have a character in the show who has a similar situation. And so I was just wondering if I can get your contact information. And so I gave it to him, like just thinking that, talk is talk, but until something happens,
Yeah.
don't put any weight to it. And then he ended up following through, and I ended up being able to consult on this show called Cross. I think it's on Amazon Prime. But that was the first situation I feel like where my difference was embraced. And it gave me that confidence as well to be able to walk into rooms and not necessarily see it as a challenge, because I've also been able to see the benefits from it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I feel the same way anymore. And you also can't, if you want to make it to a certain level, you can only let that be a problem for so long before you just have to say fuck it and just go all in and see what happens. So I'm at that fuck it point pretty much.
That's good. Now, how do you stay encouraged to showcase your individuality in an industry that seems to pressure you to conform to what it is that they want you to be?
Bro. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What a great question. I'm telling you, it's a fight.
Yeah.
I would say that I feel confident that my ideas, to whatever percentage, are original. And with them being original, I feel like I have the responsibility of bringing many of them to fruition and seeing what happens. But also by not seeing what it is in my head, not seeing it already exist, kind of gives me all of the purpose I need in making it, because I feel like I can't be the only one that's looking for it. So as long as I can find those other people somehow, some way, that are looking for what I am also looking for, then I should keep producing it. Because that also means there's a lane for it. You know what I mean? If we're not just looking at it artistically, business-wise. Like, you're offering something that someone needs because it's not there at the moment. So I'm just in the process of fine-tuning what it is that I am offering in that way. And you can't fine-tune something that you're not practicing. So at the very least, I'm putting out my ideas because I need the practice of evolving them into the best package that I can present.
Yes, that's definitely a word, because how do you know what you can put out, or how do you know what you're good at, or what someone can learn from you if you're not practicing your craft, no matter what it is? Like, it could be more than dance. Like, maybe you have a gift, or maybe you have a certain energy that you're putting off into the world. But if you don't, take the time to nurture that, how do you know what you can be for somebody else?
Agreed, 100%.
What do you want your dance identity to leave as its legacy?
As its legacy, I've always, I don't call it a disability anymore because it's not really held me back from doing anything. But with my particular situation,
With your superpower, we gonna call it your superpower.
With my superpower. That's, you know what? That's funny. You're not the first person to say that, and I needed that affirmation. I appreciate that.
No problem.
But with my superpower, I've never wanted it to be my identity, because I also feel like it only takes you so far, and da-da-da-da. I always wanted to be great. I always wanted to be a great dancer because I was a great dancer. I didn't want to be a great dancer who we see as great because of his situation. He was able to get this far. That's why he's great. No, I just wanted to be great in the room with people who don't have a similar superpower. So I feel like I am moving past that point, though. where I am closer to producing the art that I want to lead to the world. And with that, now I feel more comfortable letting that become part of my identity because it is a part of who I am. But I felt like I needed, at the very least, to prove it to myself that I can be in these rooms with the top people just off of my abilities alone, not just because I have the abilities and the superpower in addition to it. And so now I'm letting that become more of my dance identity, and I want it to be the type of art that I'm able to lead in addition to the fact that will hopefully inspire people that I had this superpower all along. That's what I like to be.
The mind is a powerful thing. And not just the mind, but what we're speaking into ourselves, what we're thinking about ourselves, what we're thinking about our identities, what we're putting into our own thoughts is super important. And I love that you're affirming yourself in a different way because you already have the talent, you know, and that's just going to elevate you even more because we're not going to let that be a hindrance anymore.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Thank you.
No problem. What advice would you give to viewers who are aspiring dancers who have a trouble finding their dance identity or their identity in general?
I would say I think we lie to ourselves as people a lot, which is going to happen. But I think that even if you're lying to yourself, I think you still need to be aware of when you're doing it. And so I think, again, going back to your dance identity being part of your actual identity, you have to at least know who you are. You have to know how you would feel about something if something was brought up, or at least how you would address the situation. And you don't have to honor it. You don't have to invest into whatever the idea or the emotion is, but you have to know what it is. And I think that bleeds through into dance, where you have to be able to have that self-awareness where you can choose to honor, oh, I'm feeling this move right now. Is it the time to do that move? Like you don't have in the moment of dancing, you don't have time to think through the possibilities, weigh the options, all of that. So you need to know how you feel in that moment and just present yourself to the best of your ability. But just let it be you. Let your identity bleed true. And then any opportunities, whether you want to work as a dancer or you just want to get better as an artist, everything that is supposed to come to you will come to you that is meant for you, because they will appreciate what you have to offer as a person. And you have to compromise less. You'll have to deal with a lot less obstacles as well, because what you are attracting is exactly what also is trying to attract you.
Exactly.
So that would be my advice.
Thank you for dropping that wisdom. Now, can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media platforms?
For sure. On all social media platforms, it's at DaeSun Cupid, no spaces. The name wasn't taken, thankfully.
Right. So once again, I definitely want to thank you for coming through, dropping gems, sharing your story. Thanks for coming through, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you for being interested.
No problem. Well, this concludes this episode of N5678. It's your boy Vibes by Bray. Please be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Vibes by Bray and stay updated on all of our latest episodes at N5678 Podcast. Now streaming on all social media platforms. Here's your daily reminder to always remember to dance like nobody's watching and love like it's never gonna hurt. Shout out to our sponsors, Kadico Streetwear for Dancers, Frazier Worldwide LLC, and Felicity Digital Lab. Until next time, y'all.
7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,